enforce this if we're gonna have it in a way that doesn't cost the city money.
Thank you, Councilman Palladino. Any more discussion on this item? Did you have something to add, Tom?
Well, there is an enforcement mechanism, right? So to the extent that the fire department comes and does an inspection on a use and occupancy permit, if they find there are things that are wrong, they have to correct those items before you can get your final use and occupancy permit. Typically what's done is you get a temporary one for up to 180 days, but you have to correct all of the additional, or all of the items that were cited as violations of the International Property Maintenance Code. And then you have another inspection, that's the repeat inspection part, to verify that you finished the things. In some cases, if it's minor items, they'll let you do something like submit photographs to show that you corrected it. But that is the enforcement process. If you don't get the use and occupancy permit, we do in fact prosecute those. We file municipal civil infraction citations at the district court. And that is typically only done with respect to the rental properties. And presumably if you end up passing the ordinance that exempts the owner-occupied homes from that, this would only apply to people seeking use and occupancy permits for properties that they're leasing to somebody else. But there is enforcement, and that's the code enforcement stuff that we typically do when we hear people complain about. That's what it's largely based on.
Thank you, Tom. Any more discussion on this? Do I have a motion? So,
I'll support it.
motion on the floor from Councilman Soha, seconded by Councilman Sharp. May I have a roll call, City Clerk?
Councilperson Pratt,
Yes.
Sharp,
Yes.
Soha,
Yes.
Wolfram,
Yes.
Stuchel,
Yes.
Mayor Stockford,
Yes.
Councilperson Morrissey,
Yes.
and Palladino.
Yes.
8-0 approved.
Thank you, Katie. Okay, we will move into item letter C, set public hearing to amend ordinance municipal civil infractions and fines. Sorry, let me get to it in my packet. Dave?
Thank you, Mayor. So this is to amend the municipal civil infraction ordinance, and this is something the Public Service Committee had discussed on numerous occasions, trying to make it more usable and give it a little bit more teeth for the city to actually force some of the issues to be rectified and or deal with other situations. So that being said, the committee had Mr. Thompson, the attorney, write up his recommendations, and after discussing them, are recommending that the council set the public hearing for this ordinance amendment as well for April 1st.
Thank you, Dave. Any questions about this? Once again, we're setting a public hearing for April 1st. This will be our second of that night. Motion on the floor from Councilman Sharp, seconded by Councilman Soha, to set a public hearing for Monday, April 1st at 7 p.m. For amending the ordinance municipal civil infraction and fines. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. All right, we'll move on to item letter D, spring leaf collection. Hello, Jason.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. During our last Public Service Committee meeting on February 26th with city staff, we discussed forgoing the 2024 spring leaf collection. The current leaf millage does not covers most of the fall collection. All the additional expenditures comes from the general fund. In 2023, the fall leaf collection was performed at a cost of $74,277, which we are down $5,184 from the prior year from the 2022 pickup. With the revenue from the millage at $74,000, TPS crews hauled, during the pickup, we hauled 3,572 cubic yards of leaves in, which averages about $20.79 per cubic yard. We did not perform a spring pickup last year in 2023 due to the cleanup efforts of the ice storm. The few calls that we did receive, we were notified a farmer, which we've been talking to, and let us dump out there free of charge, just outside of Hillsdale. During the 2022 spring leaf collection, DPS collected a total of 189 cubic yards of leaves over 6 days at a cost of $14,621, average of $77.36 per cubic yard. With conversation of the Public Service Committee, we recommend the City Council to approve foregoing the spring leaf collection as the service is underutilized and financially is not in the best interest of the community.
Thank you, Jason. Any questions for Jason? Any discussion at the council table?
I don't know what he said. We need a resolution.
No,
Just approval like this.
just approval, which means a yes vote which means once there's a motion and a second, a yes vote would be to forego the spring collection. A no vote would be to continue doing the spring collection.
I move to forego doing this. I'll second.
Okay, Councilman Wolfram had his hand up real quick though.
So we're gonna have the fall one, just not the spring.
And still the brush pickup, or.
Correct. If I may, Mayor, real quick.
Yes, sir.
We found over the last 2 years that we're getting a later drop, and we're picking most of the leaves up in that second round. The first round we go through, we're really not getting into a collection point right till we get into the third ward of that round. And so that we're getting really good coverage in that second round as we push that back farther into December a little bit. So I feel pretty comfortable. I'm still getting at least 90% off.
Okay.
And if people ask me what they do with their leaves,
Yep, I'd have them call our office. We still have the farmer's contact information. He's more than willing to take them again for this year as well. The farmer, if they call, we can give them the address and the phone number to go.
okay?
Any more discussion? We got a motion on the floor from Councilman Soha, a second by Councilman Sharp, to forego picking up the leaves in the spring. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Roll call vote.
Councilperson Sharp,
Yes.
Soha,
Yes.
Stuchel,
Yes.
Wolfram,
Yes.
Mayor Stockford.
No.
Councilperson Morrissey,
Yes.
Palladino,
Yes.
and Sharp.
Again?
Sorry. Pratt? Yes. Sorry. 7-1 approved.
Thank you, Kate. All right, we will move on to item letter E, trackless boom mower attachment. Jason?
Yes, sir. Back in 2021, when that machine was purchased, we purchased the two with the knowing that is available with multiple attachments for that. Get an asphalt mill, the boom mower, plows for it, et cetera, et cetera. So moving forward to that and help to utilize that tractor through more than the leaf collection, we would like to start using that along our bike trail, roadsides, and stuff for extra work of a brush, to use it for brush, about an inch and a half brush, instead of using saws, loppers, and a lot of manpower to get them pushed back. What you see here, and I'd like to iterate on that a little bit, this is only a chunk of the bike path we do. We do a chunk of the bike path every year. So next year, when we keep moving through, it takes about 4 years to get through the whole bike path and the roads and the other roadsides that we have. So that's just a small portion of what we have. So here we do, and I talked with the forester, the previous forester, he was back in last week, that there are 13,000 years, a pretty comfortable number on what we are spending on those sections we pick every year on there. The 2 to 3 days with 1 to 2 members. 1 to 2 members will be a person driving the machine, and then 1 person, because those machines are pretty violent. So we want someone there to make sure, people, the pedestrians on the bike path are out of the way. So we're usually in 2 days. We did get 1 price of it, is exclusive to Bell Equipment. They are a representative, so we only got 1 quote through it. It was a mighty price for $36,352. This purchase will come out of RMF Capital Outlay. It's the same GL that we purchased our trucks out of, 2 1-tons from last year. We saved quite a bit of money due to the shortages of trucks. We reworked the quotes a little bit, changed some things, and saved about $56,000 for that. I recommend to this committee to, so this was brought up to the Public Service Committee as well, And along with myself and city staff, we recommend to approve the purchase of one boom mower attachment for the trackless utility tractor for a total cost of $36,352.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Anybody from Public Service Committee want to, Councilman Palladino?
I assume this was what Jeff was talking about. Is that correct here? Did you look
Yeah.
into renting this piece?
So, I did and did. So it is cheaper to rent it, obviously, and I totally agree with that. The difference is we're gonna own the machine and we are gonna use it more than just 2 days a year. This was just, for instance, to get through one thing. So again, as we use it for 4 different years, we can do this one work in 1 year and utilize it in other aspects as well. BP will be able to use it as well on their transmission line and so forth as well.
Can we get BPU to pay for some of this?
So BP is already gonna have, in the budget, they're gonna help us buy a chipper. Hopefully.
Hopefully. Any more questions for Jason regarding this?
What's the cost to rent it
So I'd have
for a
to,
day or two?
I'd have to look into it, yeah. But that can go for all of our attachments as well. You know, the cold planer, which is an asphalt milling machine, we can rent that, I know that's about $1,200 a week. How many times a year we can use it? Well, technically we use it all the time. The difference is it's gonna be on the shelf ready for use instead of have to go picking it up, rent it, repair it if we damage it, and then take it back as well. So on the shop, or on the off the shelf use compared to go picking it up, that's gonna be something that we have to consider too.
Councilman Sharp?
This is known as a tree city. And we do have the bicycle trails, and they do need to be cleaned, because I've rode my bike through there, and I've also contacted Jason about fencing and everything else and trees, and they do need to be cleared back, because it's also a safety issue. With the homeless people, if we don't clear it back, it's just gonna overgrow, and then we're gonna hear complaints about that. It's something I believe we do need, and the money is there from basically the purchase of the 2 vehicles, the money you saved for. So I think it's a good thing to have because it utilizes, it's not gonna be just used 1 or 2 times and then be parked and that's gonna be it for the season. And that's where we gotta get that clear with people so they don't get misled with the facts. Thank you.
Councilman Soha?
In addition to Councilman Sharp's, it's the cost savings for the labor and the manpower savings that this implement will immediately save us about $10,000 just in its first year. So over time, having it on site so that we could use it for the BPU projects or other things, that was not mentioned at Public Services, if I recall. So I highly recommend it. I think and we had 7 or 9 staff working on the trails,
7 of them, yeah,
and now it's down to 2.
correct.
And to take less time. And so for me, that cost savings is worth it.
If I may, Councilman, so that conversation we had with Jake, it was kind of gonna be a partnership. We haven't finalized it yet. We're hoping they got what's called Fecon head. It's a very violent machine. It'll take 6, 8-inch logs down, trees and so forth. So we're thinking is they'll go through first, knock everything back as big as we can. And then we still have our machine to maintain, and we'll go back and forth.
Councilman Wolfram?
I was just thinking, if you're renting this thing, do you know that it's gonna be there to rent? You know, it's not like you're getting, going down to Enterprise and they've got 50 cars, right? There's
Sure.
probably not 30 of these things sitting around, so if you need it for a Tuesday, you don't really know it's gonna be there if you're renting.
Correct. And we have a multitude of places we could go. I'm assuming we can find it, but it's gonna be the legwork to find one and where we're gonna get it. Cat Lansing is kind of who we go through to get everything. They usually have it on the shelf, but they're huge. We're going to Lansing just to pick it up.
Thank you, Jason. Any more questions for Jason? Okay. Then do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor from Councilman Sharp, seconded by Councilman Wolfram, to approve the purchase of 1 boom mower attachment for the trackless utility tractor for a total cost of $36,352. Could I have a roll call, City Clerk?
Councilmember
Yes.
Stucci,
Yes.
Wolfram,
Yes.
Mayor Stopper,
Yes.
Councilperson Morrissey,
Yes.
Palladino,
Yes.
Pratt. Yes. And Sharp.
Yes.
8-0 approved.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Okay, we'll move into item letter F, right-of-way closure, North Howell Street. Chief Hepner?
Good evening. You approved the consent agenda for the farmer's market. This was a request for a Saturday afternoon for the exact same location, Howell Street between Bacon and McCollum Street. I don't have the right of way. Jason, was it the U.S. Daughters of the American Revolution?
Yes, sir.
That requested. They're going to do a dedication of the Revolutionary War Monument at the Hillsdale County Courthouse. They worked it out with the farmer's market. The farmer's market's gonna close just a little bit early that day, and then they're gonna have their dedication, so this is, it's already approved for the street to be closed. This extends it 1/2 hour, 30 minutes, so they can do their dedication ceremony on June 22nd.
Very good. Any questions for the chief? Thank you, chief. Councilman Soha?
Just a clarification, it says it normally closes at 2, and this will close it at 3 on the 22nd, so an extra hour.
Okay.
UIC.
Thank you, Councilman Soha. Any more discussion? I entertain a motion to approve the animal control order.
Second.
Motion on the floor from Councilman Soha, seconded by Councilman Sharp to approve the right-of-way closure on North Howell Street for the Daughters of the American Revolution. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. All right, we will move into item letter G, fiscal year 2025, congressionally directed spending request for Galloway Drive and Hillsdale Street culvert replacements. Sam?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So we're here tonight to ask Council to adopt a resolution of support. This is something that we would include with the request for federal funds that we are making via Senator Peters' office. We're seeking a little bit more than $2.1 million to replace 2 aging culverts, one on Hillsdale Street, right across from Handmade, and then one on Galloway Street that leads to our wastewater treatment plant. This is a project that was designed by Kristen, our city engineer. We had applied for a community development block grant in 2021. We were unsuccessful in getting that grant. And so, starting last year, we had actually submitted this through Senator Peters' office because we're looking at, any avenue for funding for this project because of the price tag cost on it. And so it didn't make it into the final draft appropriations bill last year, but we spoke to Senator Peters' staff. They encouraged us to resubmit that. And again, we're looking at all opportunities, to try to get funding for this project. So part of submitting it is, showing proof that there is demonstrated community support. And all this resolution does is show that you guys obviously, back us trying to get federal funds for that.
Thank you, Sam. Any questions? Okay, just a resolution in support of applying for the grant.
Second.
Motion on the floor from Councilman Morrissey, seconded by Councilman Wolfram. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. And I will not read the resolution. We will move into new business item H, street closure request for placement of the crane. Chief Hepner.
Yes, last Thursday after this agenda was put together, I received paperwork from Irish Roofing Company of Grand Rapids. They're doing a re-roofing project on the high-rise. At that time, they wished to start today, and the request was for a closure of just the southbound lane, the west side of North Manning Street in front of the high-rise, and that sidewalk to lift the material. We did a temporary traffic control order so that they could start today. When that was sent to them, they contacted Jason and stated they wanted the entire street blocked off for the duration of their project, which which that then invoked me saying it's going to council, and the fact that they had to get hold of MDOT for a permit because it'll have to be signage put out on the state highway. So they were anticipating probably having that permit and hopefully starting on Wednesday. But this would be to close at North Street, North Main Street from North Street to M99 Carlton Road. There'll be a hard closure at Carlton Road. From what Jason told me, it'd be a soft closure at North Street for northbound traffic, so you could still get around that to go down to the Presbyterian Church parking lot and utilize the parking lot, but it would be a hard closure on the north side of that lot, where the crane's gonna be set up and their material's gonna be set. Along with that, the sidewalk on the west side of Main Street would be closed, pedestrian passage, for obvious safety reasons.
Very good, thank you, Chief. Any questions for the Councilman Stuchel?
Yeah, any concern about how to get to the hospital?
When we do a closure with affect a direct route like that, we send it out to all the emergency services so they're aware.
Any more questions for the Chief? Good question, Councilman Stuchel. Entertain a motion to approve the traffic control order.
I'm still pondering this. What happens if we say no? I mean, they can't reach this from the parking lot? Or, I mean, the parking lot, I mean, there's a parking lot right here.
This was a request received on a right-of-way use application form.
There's a huge parking lot, it looks like it's even closer to the building than the street.
Do you have additional information, Jason?
I do, sir. So the size of crane that they're using due to how tall the building is, they first wanted to put in the alleyway with all the three-phase and the primary wires back there, it wasn't an option. You know, with the parking lot as well, due to the crane, from what I'm understanding, the parking lot was not an option either, is what I was told. So that's why they want to. Now the closure,
Not an option?
I'm sorry?
I just said it was not an option.
Correct, what they said on there. What they're hoping for was just do a closure from or was 8:30 to 5 o'clock daily. So the crane will be off-site after 5 o'clock every day, to let regular traffic go through.
For the rest of the month, potentially.
Any more questions for the Chief? Councilman Palladino.
For Jason, what are they paying for this?
For the crane, I have no idea, sir.
I mean, for the street closure.
They're supplying all the new traffic control.
So,
They have stuff that's compliant with the state since they're detour. They have a detour route both ways. They have to be compliant with the state. They don't have no control of it.
we're not charging them what we would charge for utilities or other construction.
They don't pay the $75 application fee, and since they're doing their own traffic control, that's all that we pay.
Any more questions? Entertain a motion to approve the TCO.
Sport.
Motion on the floor from Councilman Soha, seconded by Councilman Sharp. All in favor? Any opposed?
No.
Can I have a roll call vote, City Clerk?
Councilperson Soha,
Yes.
Stuchel,
No.
Wolfram,
Yes.
Mayor Stockford,
Yes.
Councilperson Morrissey, Palladino,
No.
I'm sorry, Morrissey, what was that?
I said yes.
Okay, sorry. Pratt? Yes. And Sharp?
Yes.
Yes, 6, yes and 2 no. Passes.
Thank you, Katie. Okay, we're on to new business. Move into general public comment. During this time, podium will be open. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Please limit your trips to one podium. And you may speak on whatever your heart so desires. The podium is now open.
Hello, it's been a while. I remember why I stopped coming to these. So, the marijuana money that the county got, is Hillsdale gonna write a letter to the county saying they don't want any of that put into the city? Just a curious question. The use tax permits. you do away with them for the owners of the houses, but the landlords now have to pay quadruple? And you say that there's this slumlord problem, but this permit's been in effect for how many years, but you still have a problem? I don't understand the logic there. It makes no sense. You can't enforce it. I know you can't. I know you can't enforce it. I don't need to use an oxy permit to rent out stuff. Everybody knows that. Pay attention. You guys are absolute. Oh, by the way, you got your taxes maxed out, and you're still working on finding new ways to get money from people. It's impressive. It really is.
Thank you, Lance. Any more public comment?
Hello, CJ Timefrey. When I saw on the agenda today about the application increase, I didn't realize you were gonna be voting on it, because I didn't know it was out there anywhere that anybody got to come, the landlords get to come. I manage about 100 rentals, and prior to COVID, they were $25 a piece, and then COVID shut it down for 2 years, and we got bombarded with all these occupancies that we had to redo, and at that point it had gone up to $50, and then another $25 for the rescheduling. If there was anything that they had to come back for, something as small as one smoke detector battery, and it cost us another $25, and they had to come back. We've been working with Alan's office, because normally, the way I used to do it, I would call and go over all of our properties and say what's coming up, let's get this all scheduled, and we would try to streamline it and do 10, 15 properties all at once. This is I'm still in shock. I'm like, because the $50 was a struggle, because the policy is, if you change tenants, you have to do an occupancy again, regardless of the time frame, or every 2 years. We get complaints all the time that the rents are too high. I don't know how we can bring the rents down when we keep getting hit with stuff like this. This is, we had one property where we went back and forth between Alan's office and the fire department for almost 2 months trying to figure out if we could send pictures as opposed to making them come back and having to schedule with the tenants. 2 months, and no one could decide. Back and forth between. We sent pictures, and then they said, no, Alan won't let you send pictures. And then I go talk to Alan, and then Alan says you can send pictures. And I said, I mean, it's a joke, because we don't even know what we're supposed to be doing to get it done. Then we get hit with, or we're gonna give you a temporary because there's some paint on the outside of the house. How does that affect an occupancy? I've got owners that are spending $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 to improve these properties, and we get hit with this stuff over and over again. And their focus is on the inside to make it perfect and awesome, because our middle to upper class, there aren't properties that there are to rent. So we're trying to make them super nice for people coming into town, and I don't even know what to say. I'm sitting here in shock, because who got to discuss this? Where are the landlords that get to come in and say, wait a minute, this is a burden? I mean, I went from, it costing $200 to go in and get, 4, 5, 6 done, and the last time I had to write a check was $455, and that was just for the first one. I think you guys need to rethink this, because it makes it very difficult for those that really want to follow policy and really want to offer really nice homes. And we do walkthroughs every 90 days in all of our properties, and we are anal about our stuff. We offer a very nice quality product. And the millage passed, and the only ones that got hit were landlords. The last millage for the school, you guys need to think this through. You really need to think this through, because this is not, we have a problem with enough housing to begin with, and quality housing, but how can owners afford to put any money in these properties if you guys keep doing this? Thank you.
Thank you, CJ. Any more public comment?
Yeah, I know it's been a long time since I've been up here, but, anytime that you add on to a landlord money, it's not gonna just hurt them, it's gonna go down, everything goes downhill, and don't go back up, okay? You think that you're paying here, but the ones that's really paying for it's the bottom. And the bottom people are turning around, and then you talk about people being homeless. You take care of the homeless here, and you wanna get rid of them, but yet at the same time, those that are on low income, what do they got? Well, they go up and they get more tax put on to the landlord in turn puts it on to the renters. The renters in turn says, well, I can't afford it. My COLA just went up, and I'm only making $10 more than I made last year, but you want to add another $25 or $30, they're going to pass that on to them. Now, how are they going to do it? Every time a COLA comes out for those that's on Social Security or on any type of government issued or anybody that's even retired, when they come to this point in their life, they have to look at their bottom dollar. Their bottom dollar means a whole lot to them. And I don't know about you, but with me fighting the cancer, I thought, I'm finding out a lot of the money I thought I had to survive with my wife and I is being deleted. What if I was one of these renters, fortunate, thank the Lord, you know, I own my home, or I'm buying my home, and you know, it just isn't fair to the renters out here to keep coming back onto the landlords and saying, hey, we got to add this. I can understand if there has to be a raise, but to make it 50% more, or 100 actually, 100% more, because if you're charging 50 and you charge another 50, that's 100% more than what they were paying to begin with. It just don't make sense to me to keep doing this, because in turn, it's going to hurt you guys too, or hurt the city, because where's the extra tax money going to come from? People's not going to be able to buy the things that they want to, because they're paying it so they can have a roof over their head. So these are some of the things we've got, like Steve was saying, we've got to think about all of this, not just where we stand here, but look at the whole picture. It takes the whole picture in turn for us to see what is going on. As the scripture would say, when you've done it unto the least of these, you've done it unto me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Any more public comment?
Hello. My name's Holly Rossman, and I am one of the vendors at the farmer's market. And they asked for volunteers, somebody to come. I'm not real great with public speaking, sorry. But we just wanted to let you guys know how much we appreciate all the work that you've done with us and for us, and what a great season it was last year, and we're hoping to have another good season this year. So, it's just a thank you.
Thank you, Holly. Any more public comment? Seeing none, we'll close the podium. Moving to the city manager's report. David.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm gonna ask Sam to come up. We've got an update on another project, road project that we've been working on with Congressman Wahlberg's office.
Yeah, so kind of in the same vein of what I was talking about earlier, with requesting a congressional earmark for the culvert project. Last year, we actually submitted a request through Congressman Wahlberg's office to redo Arch Avenue, as well as make some stormwater improvements there. It's been in a draft appropriations bill for a while. You know, we were told that Congressman Wahlberg was going to submit it. We were pleased to find out today that it has made it into the final package of draft bills that Congress is set to take up this week. So we are very much hopeful that we could see some funding coming for that. And again, that would be to redo Arch Avenue, both to reconstruct the streets as well as make some improvements to the flow of stormwater in that area. As you guys know, that's a really important street to a lot of our commercial and industrial companies out there in the industrial park. So we're really hopeful about that, and that's kind of why we apply for funding like this. We're looking for any and every opportunity to try to bring some of those dollars back to our community.
Thank you, Sam.
Thanks, Sam. A few other things we wanted to mention today. The Match on Main program is reopened, and that's for our downtown businesses. So the Michigan Economic Development Corporation has resumed its Match on Main grant program. The application window reopened today, March 4th. This is a reimbursement grant program, serves to support new and expanding place-based businesses by providing up to $25,000 in funding for eligible activities. So the applications must be turned into the city no later than March 29th, so that we can select up to 2 local businesses to nominate for the grant application. So if anyone has any questions on that, they can find information on our website or reach out to Sam directly. Sam is our marketing and economic development coordinator, for those of you who don't know. And it was just up.
So this is called the Match on Main?
Correct.
Okay. And it's just for businesses, or it could be nonprofits?
No, this is just for businesses. The second item is our spring cemetery cleanup. The Public Service Department will be cleaning up the Lakeview and Oak Grove cemeteries beginning Monday, March 11th. Seasonal and temporary decorations, grave blankets, and other items determined to be in poor condition will be discarded. So if you have items out there that you want to keep, make sure the residents know to collect them by Sunday, March 10th. Newer returning items can be placed in the cemeteries after they're finished with the cleanup on March 23rd. And the last item I have is the day of service, and projects and volunteers are wanted. Hillsdale College Gold Program and the Hillsdale County Community Foundation Youth are joining forces this year to give back to the county with a day of service planned for Saturday, April 6th. Projects and volunteers are wanted, so if you have a service project you would like volunteers to complete, organizers ask that you register your project before Friday, March 15th. You can also sign up to volunteer, so this would be a good thing for churches and other civic organizations. Project and volunteer registration forms are available at Hillsdale County Community Foundation website. And that is for the College Gold Program as well as the Community Foundation Youth Program. And lastly, just want to report to council, 2 Fridays ago, we had a meeting at the County Commission office with Commissioner Ingalls and Commissioner Benzing, along with the residents of the Wildwood subdivision that were affected by the flooding, the Drain Commission, and the Road Commission in the city to talk about the flooding that occurred there, and had some very productive conversation on how we can look to addressing issues there in the future. We've got some homework on all our parts, and we're going to reconvene at a later date to talk about how and what can be done out there. Because there's a number of jurisdictions, from the Road Commission and the right-of-ways to the airport property, the residents and what they've got as far as their infrastructure, and the Drain Commission. So we had a lot of good discussion. I think Doug would agree. So that is all I have. If there are any questions.
Yeah, I have a question. A property owner out there, and a big property owner and business owner out there was telling me that if we dug a detention pond out there, that it would essentially fix the issue. And I'm not talking about regarding flooding, but Wildwood. He's saying that his property's getting flooded on a continual basis. What's the cost of doing something like that? Is that an option that's on the table? That's something that we've discussed?
It is something that's been discussed. That property, I can only imagine which one it is, has been historically flooding there for, I'd say, 30 years plus. So it's more than just taking a detention basin, and as was discussed at the meeting, because that was brought up, we're not opposed to looking at something like that. In fact, our drain ditches out there actually hold a lot of the water. But we just are opposed from a city standpoint of footing the entire bill because it's, the majority of it is not our water. And we have photos to prove and show where that water is coming from, and it's not the airport's water that's causing the majority of those issues. So a joint project, I'd say we're all in favor for, but something that's putting the whole cost on the city is not, in our best interest.
Okay. Councilman.
Yeah, it just came up at the planning commission, a couple months ago, 2 or 3 months ago, and, because we were, in the process of approving the extension of the new terminal, and, obviously that's more, surface that's impermeable, so there are drainage issues raised, the same drainage issues raised, so that kind of got, I think that started this newest iteration of the process, because they did have that serious flooding that occurred during that massive storm. When was it, 2023? Early in 2023.
Wow,
So,
that was
21.
21, yeah, it was a major thing for them. So anyway, we got that straightened out as far as the airport was concerned in terms of the planning commission decision, but this was one of the follow-up things that the city managers was involved with.
Yeah, I think it's also important to mention that, so the parking lot that's part of it, there actually is a small detention basin for the parking lot because that is actually creating some additional water from hard pavement. So that is part of the plans for the new terminal.
Thank you, Dave. Any more questions for Dave? Okay, council comment. Anybody have anything? Councilman Sharp.
Yeah, I last week visited the Kiefer House, and it's coming along really well. It's just what we gotta keep doing, is just pop in there unannounced and check it out. But they're moving right along, so I think they will be done their part in August with no problem. Then they hand the keys over to the other people, and then we go from there. But it is being moved along very nicely.
Thank you for the update on that. I see they're trying to hire some workers, so if anybody knows anyone that. Thank you. Any more council comment? I'll tell you guys, I voted against not foregoing the spring collection, and I'll tell you why. Because I've been on this council a long time, and it must have been about 4 years ago that we decided to stop doing the leaf collection, and never knew how important that was to the people of Hillsdale until we stopped doing it. Not just stopped doing it, but started having, I believe it was Republic, or was it Modern already? It was Republic pick up it and put it in bags. So we took that away from the residents, and then we told them, if we're gonna bring it back and have the city do it, and it doesn't have to be bagged, you're gonna have to pass a millage to do it. So the residents of Hillsdale voted to pass a millage to do the leaf collection. I don't wanna go back to them and tell them that we're gonna do less than what we agreed to when they voted on that millage. I just don't feel right about that. So, I don't mean to contradict the work that Public Services Committee is doing, because I know you guys meet a lot and hash out a lot of stuff, and I appreciate it, but it's, I don't know, taxes keep raising every year, and it just seems like first thing we go to always is taking something away from the residents to make up for it. Any more council comment? Councilman Palladino?
Yeah, no, agreed. The millage raised 74,000. We spent it all on the fall leaf collection, so we're gonna have to take away some other service if we continue that service. And our question is basically, what services do we want to prioritize? So that's a decision we have to make. We're gonna have to take that money from the general fund or from somewhere else if we don't. If we exceed the millage funding.
Motion on the floor to adjourn from Councilman Sharp, seconded by Councilman Soha. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. This meeting's adjourned.